like our heroes.
One of the most significant chapters of decolonization.
History has
Yes, you know, I'm feeling with your people, although I am a white guy, but the Ambazonian people as such are maltreated so badly, and there is so much injustice involved that it is a question of, on global scale, for the whole humanity, to bring finally justice to Ambazonia and basically all people. We have to end this neo-colonialism and these proxy dictatorships of hegemonies like France Afrique, or also on the financial sector we still have hegemonies where one dominant power is controlling a lot of peoples and they don't have any voice, and we still have concentration camps in this world. There's a lot to do. So liberation is a never-ending necessity.
Yes, thank you so much, Comrade. This is Comrade Christophe Messner, just joining me live in this wonderful discussion about the Southern Cameroon sovereignty. I want to thank my viewers here in the United States, those in South America, those in Ground Zero. I am so deeply proud of the Ambazonia defense system for their continued mobilizations and to target the enemy positions. It has been a great progression from the state in which we were in 2016 to now let's face the reality. So it has been a very great moment, and I want to thank all the effort our people has been doing in Ground Zero. I want to thank those in Europe. I want to thank those in Russia, China, South America, wherever they are, wherever citizens of Southern Cameroon are. This has been a very great moment for the spirit of self-determination. But before we proceed to that, or Comrade Messner introduce himself, let's listen to this message.
History. But this story is still being written as 17 non-self-governing territories remain. Each deserves attention. Each still waits to attain self-government in accordance with Chapter 9 of the United Nations Charter, the 1960 Declaration of the Granting of Independence to Colonial Countries and Peoples, and relevant UN resolutions. In recent months, there has been notable movement on the question of New Caledonia. Last November, in a referendum, New Caledonians expressed their will on their future and on the status of the territory. This was an important step forward in the decolonization process. The cooperation of France, the administering power, throughout the referendum process, in accordance with 98 Nouméa Accord, was commendable. This committee, for its part, assisted New Caledonia in the period leading up to the conduct of the referendum, dispatching 2 visiting missions to the territory. To achieve decolonization, the voices of the peoples of the territories should be heard, as it was the case. The cooperation of all concerned, including the administrative powers, is likewise vital. And it is also paramount that the peoples of the non-self-governing territories understand the options regarding their political status and the right to choose their future freely. I applaud the Special Committee's tireless efforts to uphold its mandate and to support the peoples of the non-self-governing territories to achieve self-government. And I also commend the Special Committee for maintaining dialogue and productive cooperation with the administrating powers and all concerned. The UN's decolonization success across the decades can inspire us today. Let us uphold our duty to assist all the peoples of the non-self-governing territories in bringing their decolonization process to a successful conclusion according to their own choice. The Special Committee has accompanied many territories in their journey since the beginning of the 60s. As you begin work in the 2019 session, I wish you every success, and the Secretariat will do all we can to support your very important work. Thank you. One of the most significant...
Comrade, you listen to that message. You listen to that message. Why is it exceptionally cannot be applicable to Southern Cameroon?
Yeah, it's a good question you are asking, and of course it can be applicable if only the UN would do it. If the UN would keep to its own resolutions concerning the Southern Cameroons, then Ambazonia would be self-governing tomorrow, and the UN would call Biya to withdraw his troops from Ambazonia. But you know as well as me that the French influence in the UN and in the African Union is still very strong. And they don't want that. And so the Ambazonian leadership has to, repeatedly remind every relevant UN official and representative of powers, big powers in the UN, that the decolonization process of Southern Cameroons is not completed, and that there's a bunch of problems involved concerning the former colonizers, and it needs very sensible diplomacy to get the Anglophone countries in the world to a more courageous naming of the problems. Yeah? The decision whether a former colonized territory gets the permission to be self-governing now. Yeah? This decision, it's depending on many factors, and you have to convince the Anglophone countries, I would say, in the world, or every non-French-speaking country to speak out boldly, courageously against the neo-colonial concept of France-Afrique, and how this France-Afrique is still corrupting the UN and the AU. So we have to, name the root causes by their names. We have to speak it out boldly.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, comrade, for that important analysis.
Disconnected.
Let's thank you for that important analysis that you just presented. Let's see.
Chapters of the
I am proud, very proud to be Korea. Proud to work on the same soil like our heroes.
process in accordance with 98 Nouméa Accord was commendable. This committee, for its part, assisted New Caledonia in the period leading up to the conduct of the referendum, dispatching 2 visiting missions to the territory. To achieve decolonization, the voices of the peoples of the territories should be heard, as it was the case. The cooperation of all concerned, including the administrative powers, is likewise vital.
Comrade, this is very important, and the defense system that Ambazonia has been, and there is a lot of casualty that is being hitting La Republique at a higher level than ever before. And that shows the determinations of Ambazonians to regain its territory. Ambazonians, or the people of Southern Cameroon, has been pleading with the international community about to respect the United Nations Resolution 1514, which called for decolonizations. It did not call for partial decolonizations, and it specifically stated those territorial integrity, those territories that were under the colonial allied forces be given their rightful independence. The British government deprived the people of Southern Cameroon their right and privilege to exist as a sovereign nation. In 2016, people of high, reasonable lawyers, judges, stood up and asked for a reform in the justice system, in the entire governmental system. Instead of La Republique du Cameroun to afford those qualities to meet those high level of demand, instead they choose to declare war on the people of Southern Cameroon. So now, we now own the reality. So what is La Republique in Southern Cameroon? We say, okay, let's take it, do the right way. Because we don't recognize La Republique in Southern Cameroon territory. Because we have expressed our deeply concern about their engagement in Southern Cameroon. We've written to several different nations. Now La Republique declared war on us. Now the tone is on their side. So I want to thank you, sorry for the long introduction, but I want you to give your own view and analysis on this ongoing war of independence.
Yes, the presence of French Cameroonian troops in Ambazonia, which was called Southern Cameroons or British Southern Cameroons trust territories, is illegal, because historically the proper joining of French Cameroon was never done in the way it was originally. I'm sorry, I interrupted. I hear a video there.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, you're running another video there.
Yes, just hold on, let me go back. Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Yes, you know, to summarize the whole struggle and the whole history of Southern Cameroons is a little difficult to make that in a few sentences. It's a complicated history. But nevertheless, the idea of the international community that there would be a united Cameroon and the so-called English-speaking people there would be just a district of Cameroon or two regions is not quite correct. So we need to enlighten the world that you know, the hegemony of France annexed the English-speaking people of former British Southern Cameroons, and they're still maltreating them badly and not letting them participate in governance in a proper way. And you know, they deindustrialized and they excluded them from power. They are basically robbing the resources from Ambazonia and transferring the profits abroad and not reinvesting into roads and infrastructure in Ambazonia. So it is a very, very clear thing that French Cameroon is responsible for all the atrocities and for the perpetuating of the war, and it is the perpetrator, and Ambazonia is the victim, and that is what the international community does not want to believe. They only want to see the Ambazonians as the rebels and separatists, you know, and they paint them as also doing violence, but that is wrong, because French Cameroon started this war, and sorry, comrade.
Yeah, thank you so much for that analysis. You know, as you rightly said, you know, it was simply a demonstration by the lawyers, judges. And in any country, when you find those members of the society asking for a reform, you will see that the nations, the hierarchy will immediately invite those officials to discuss the issues so that to address the needed cause. I mean, legally, La Republique owns no territory in Southern Cameroon. In fact, it was a forgery that they initiated that the people of Southern Cameroon should live under the umbrella of a foreign nation, La Republique du Cameroun. The fact, over time, they tried to uproot the identity of the people of Southern Cameroon by simply replacing the officials. I mean, this is a sovereign government of Southern Cameroon that has a cabinet. In fact, Southern Cameroon is the first in West Africa to demonstrate political change of leadership from executive to the next executive. La Republique du Cameroun has not in any significant way demonstrated this ability to be able to change leadership. It was previously from a Ahijo of 25 years rule to the current dictator that we have now for more than a decade. There has never been any free an election conducted with a free atmosphere. There is a clique of individuals within the Yaoundé regime that control every aspect, using military to quell down when they're asking for a simple reform. Of course, this is the point. Then the people of Southern Cameroon are asking, wait a minute, who is La Republique in Southern Cameroon in the first place? La Republique owns no territory in Southern Cameroon. It's simply a forgery by France because of the natural resources in Southern Cameroon that are taking advantage of it. So, come on, don't go far. Let me show you this video by these brutal dictators, Paul Biya.
Celles-ci ont été partagées entre la Grande-Bretagne et la France. Et mon pays a été divisé. Une partie était sous colonisation britannique, l'autre sous colonisation française. Il en est résulté une juxtaposition de culture et de civilisation qui rendent les choses assez délicates. Bon, on a tout fait pour mettre à égalité les deux langues, les langues anglaises et françaises, mais les mentalités, le système scolaire, le système de la magistrature sont différents. Nous avons donc eu des conflits conservés à la partie de mon pays qui était sous colonisation britannique, un statut spécifique, mais il reste dans l'unité de la nation. C'est ça le problème que nous avons à résoudre. On avait la possibilité de les intégrer directement dans le système francophone, qui était celui de la majorité du peuple, 80%. Mais je crois que les pays sont soucieux aujourd'hui d'affirmer leur identité. Et c'est pour ça que nous mettons sur pied la spécificité de la zone anglophone, mais elle reste dans l'intégrité territoriale du Cameroun. Ça donne beaucoup de problèmes. Eh bien, monsieur le modérateur, mon pays, le Cameroun, a d'abondantes et excellentes relations avec la Chine, qui intervient dans le domaine les plus divers, infrastructures, barrages, etc. Bon, mais quand on discute avec les autorités chinoises, elles nous disent que leur pays est un pays en...
Okay, comrade, you listen to, that's him. I'm sorry, the message is in French. I'm not sure how is you are on a little French background, because I also have a little bit of French background. Of course, that's him. Acknowledge that there are two separate colonial territories, and those were the French and those of the British, and that over time they have been trying to assimilate the Southern Cameroon into a French majority. And deprive the people of our own judicial system. That's what he said. He says the legal system, the judiciary system is different from the francophone system, and that is why it's finding it difficult to assimilate into the French system. And this is what has cost us almost 3,000 of our souls. I don't know if you correct me if I'm mistakenly, and number of almost 80,000 displaced, including in Nigeria, in our own territory, in our own land. A francophone imposed upon the people of Southern Cameroon. Anyway, comrade.
Yes, the dictator Paul Biya already admitted that the assimilation project did not succeed. And you could argue that after the referendum in which the Anglophones voted for joining French Cameroon, that these Anglophones would be part of Cameroon forever, for all times. Yeah, you could argue that. And how the British tricked the Southern Cameroonians into a two-choice option, and none of these options was real independence. So the British were actually violating the UN advised decolonization process, which was giving British Southern Cameroons independence at a different date than French Cameroon. So they treated British Southern Cameroons in a very unfair manner. And of course, the people did not have the educative potential to decide what is the best choice, but they wanted to have real independence. And the thing is, all this, what I am saying now, you know, we can debate the post-colonial history of Southern Cameroons and French Cameroons like the whole day. But the basic thing is that the international powers, they do not care what Southern Cameroonians want, you see? The British sold Southern Cameroons to French Cameroon. And from then on, the world was fine that we have such a big country like United Cameroon, which we can exploit, and our dear dictator Biya is helping us, stealing all the resources from Cameroon, you know? And that is what the international powers want to continue, and all these big corporations who are excavating oil and gas and minerals. And they don't care about the fate of Southern Cameroons. And that's the point. We can discuss legalities, they just violate this. And therefore, Ambazonia has no other chance than to take arms and to liberate herself. No other chance. Of course, we are all diplomatic options also, or let's better say diplomatic tactics. Yeah, secret diplomacy is the art of the day. But I think Ambazonia should not use the word negotiations that much at this state of the liberation, because it would already imply that, you know, we would have to make some concession. Yeah? But that is wrong, because the UN and the British gave Southern Cameroon's independence already. What was the exact date? 1st of October 1960, right?
Yeah.
So we should never fall back behind this achievement. So we should give Cameroon any concession, like saying, okay, 30% of your governors can still stay in our territory, you know, and 50% of your troops and so on. I would not do that. Now, if the Ambazonians, they need to drive the philosophy of strength. The maltreatment by French Cameroon over the decades has been so awful, and it is so clear that French Cameroon is the perpetrator and Ambazonia is the victim, because Ambazonia never attacked French Cameroon. Ambazonia did never any harm to French Cameroon. So the international world needs to understand that there's no foul compromise to be made. Even if French Cameroon comes on the negotiation table, on the so-called negotiation table or dialogue table, you know, there's not much concession Ambazonia has to give. There are not many negotiable things. Ambazonian territory belongs 100% to Ambazonia.
Absolutely.
And for you can explain that Ambazonia is now another name for Southern Cameroons, for the former Southern Cameroons. But basically, the former British Southern Cameroons is extinct. It does not exist anymore. If I would be an Ambazonian, I would not use that name anymore. Although many people say, oh, the UN, they are only knowing us under the name Southern Cameroons. But in my eyes, it is very stupid to call yourself like the southern part of your former colonizers' territory, Cameroon, you know? to promote your own name. Ambazonia, Ambaland. That's what you have to go for.
Okay.
And with pride, with self-confidence, that's the decisive part. You need to go out into the world and you need to say, we don't care whether you give us something or not. We take our freedom. It is our land. You know, every neo-colonizer kick them out. And this self-confidence, that's what you need to spread. All these far colonizers' laws and constructs and political misdeeds and corrupting bribery systems, you know, it has to end once and for all. You need to create this determination in your people, you know, in every, whether you are Anglophone or Francophone, it doesn't matter. You need to motivate them to say a final no to all this crap. You need to clean up the stable, you know, get all the shit out.
Absolutely.
Only then you move forward. Yeah? And tell the French to leave. Also tell the Chinese to leave. You need to build up your country yourself. It is your own country.
Thank you so much, comrade, for that analysis. And this moves us to these questions, and which I am going to present here. You're going to listen to the former U.S. Secretary of State, Thibault Nagy. And so I want to see your own view. Has the United States policy changed in Africa, or is still a continuation of the same? Listen to Thibault Nagy.
Nudge.
There's tremendous interest within all branches of the U.S. government towards this crisis. The United States is greatly concerned with what's going on in Cameroon. I mean, we consider Cameroon a long-term friend. We consider it essential for the stability in that region of Africa. As we all know, Cameroon has tremendous potential. It has phenomenal natural resources, has a highly educated, industrious, entrepreneurial population. It could easily rocket forward in progress and prosperity and stability. So because of that, the United States is greatly concerned with events there. And the frustrating thing is a lot of this was needless. as I said, we all know the history, we all know where this is coming from, and the Anglophone population of Cameroon would very much like to be considered as first-class citizens, and there is a sense that they feel like, and they have felt a long time, like they're second-class citizens. It is up to dialogue and true dialogue to move this process forward.
So you listen to the former Under-Secretary for African Affairs. What is the significant difference from his message and the current administration of the United States?
The current administration in America is going a little further to support not really the liberation of Ambazonia and the independence, but they're going to support more pressure on the BIA regime. That's what they're going to do. The thing is, what is all behind this power play is that the big powers in the world who are profiting from African resources are fearing, they are scared before all these small peoples in Africa wanting independence right now. And you know, if you have smaller entities, they are more difficult to control. So the globalization trend rather wants to have big unions and big countries which are easier to control. And in these bigger territories, like Nigeria, for example, you can play divide and conquer. Yeah? So the globalists and the big corporations, they do not want to have Africa breaking up into states or new nations, you know? That's what they fear. But on the other hand, from the economical standpoint, the world also understands, and especially the United States understands, that if you suppress the people the whole time, then riots and war breaks out, and in this condition you cannot make business. And there should be some understanding that you need to have free peoples in order to have development. So I would say everyone in the United States, and basically all over the world, who has a little better understanding in political matters, would understand that you cannot just form big unions like ECOWAS or CEVAS and then continue the old kind of colonialism and install some dictators there. You know, you need to diversify and allow more decentralization and listen to the will of the people. America stands for the principle, we the people. So, they need to respect the people in Africa. But unfortunately, the United States still do not have that much say in Africa compared to the former colonizers Britain, France, and the new colonizer China. Even Spain was involved, and Germany in the long-term past. So I would say the Europeans still think they can pick the cards in Africa again, and now with very sophisticated new financial methods, and they believe that they can bribe weak and corrupt Africans into submission to sell their own land. And the key thing for the Ambazonians is to breed a new type of leadership which is not bribable and which is willing to serve their own people first.
Thank you so much, Comrade, for that analysis. Thank you so much for that analysis. And still on Thibault Nagy, I want you to listen to this message carefully. This is Thibault Nagy response to the U.S. Senate representative. I want you to take a closer look. And there's one particular word that was used and asked the Thibault Nagy. I want you to listen, but I'm going to bring it after the message. Just stay tuned and don't go away.
Okay. Institutions that weren't really bringing the two sides together. Could you elaborate on that? Because you ran out of time before.
Sure, yes, sir. I understand the Cameroonian government established several commissions, and I'm sorry, I don't know the exact name of it, whether it's the Multicultural Institution for National Reconciliation or something, which on the face of it, and there have been a couple of these, but they have not been provided adequate budget, and they have not really done anything. Because what the country needs more than anything else is a genuine, open dialogue, probably to include the diasporas of the Cameroonians, because they have a great deal of interest in this. Because, sir, what's happening, both sides are becoming further and further radicalized. Unfortunately, I believe that the president of Cameroon is being told by his hardliners that he can win this thing militarily. There is no way that they're going to win this militarily. The violence is going to get worse in the northwest and the southwest. The arm for an arm, literally an eye for an eye, and the whole world will be blind there. The violence will spread to the West Province. It may even spread to the Littoral Province, which is the large city of Douala. So there has to be something. We are very, very energetically speaking with our allies. That's why I said that we just had in the Security Council this Monday what the United Nations calls an arias, where it's an open debate, and it's so clear that everybody wants to move forward on this. Are sanctions on the table? Everything's on the table moving forward. But we have to bring this situation to an end. Else, there's a possibility of what happened in Nigeria with Boko Haram. Started as a small movement, and now look at it. And it'd be disastrous for the region if the Cameroonian government turned this thing into yet another type of Boko Haram.
Or Boko Haram could come back into Cameroon. Well, how do you mentioned, that it appears to be spiraling out of control because the more the security forces clamp down, the more resistance there is in the Anglophone region. So what can we do that we're not already doing?
Well, like I said, the best we can do for right now is just work with our allies to really make the Cameroonian government understand the need for a real dialogue. And if that doesn't happen relatively quickly, then we have to look at the array of other tools we have in our toolkit, because, frankly, the possibility of sanctions is always there. But it's always better to work in concert with our friends before we go in that direction, because the frustrating thing is it is in the interest of everybody to have a national dialogue. The situation will not end militarily. Each day, the atrocities will get worse and worse.
Is permanent separation of the two regions a possibility?
Sir, I don't believe so, because I think that most Cameroonians, including in the southwest and northwest, have a sense of Cameroonianness.
Okay, let me stop him from there. Did you listen to the last question asked by the U.S. Senate, the Senate representative? He says, what about permanent separation? What about permanent separation? Of course, that is the key factor in the first place. The people of Southern Cameroon need their own sovereign identity, that they don't need to be controlled by a foreign imposed nation, La Republique du Cameroun. Of course, you listen to the former Undersecretary. He says, we have the sense of Cameroonness. Do you feel that we have the sense of Cameroonness?
Well, Cardinal Toomey also conducted a poll. It turned out that among the 1,000 people that were asked, I think 90% were against Cameroonian citizenship, and they are for Ambazonian independence, and it's actually a restoration of the independence and not a separation, not to mention secession. Yeah? But the thing is, when you listen to the American ambassador, of course he takes the interests of France into account, and America has some joint military interests in Africa. They have a military airport in Gabon. I think they also have something in Equatorial Guinea, I don't know. But in Djibouti, there's a lot of military together, yeah? So his words are measured, and when Tibor Nagy is speaking, he did not even mention the question whether the Ambazonians were asked yeah, what they want. He just speaks for them as if he would be an Ambazonian. And that tells you that he still has international power play, and you know, they take it for granted that a united Cameroon will always remain because, you know, France is strong enough to keep it united. And America does not basically want to disturb them. If the Americans really want to help Ambazonia, I think probably they would have done it long ago. But, you know, for them, all the ethnic or linguistic problems of the Africans do not matter very much. So I think it is not advisable, you know, to hope too much from the Americans. Yeah, maybe rather the Russians can help a little, but basically it is true that the Ambazonians have to stem this revolution and liberations on their own, and they are wealthy enough. And whatever the American ambassadors say, or whatever resolution the American Congress is passing, if they help us, you know, if they are to Ambazonia's favor, then it's okay, it's fine, yeah? We can use that to show on any table in Europe or all over the world. We can say, hey, even the Americans are acknowledging our cause. Yeah? But the basic task is with the Africans. The African nations have to, you know, smith a alliance of anti-France-Afrique policies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ambazonia definitely needs Nigeria as hinterland and as a safe haven. And Ambazonia should not wage a two-front war. So we should not mess up with Nigeria. As bad as the Nigerian government is, we need to have strong friends in Nigeria. It is our neighbor, and it's a better neighbor than French Cameroon. And so Ambazonia should not just join any other independence movement in Africa, but it should rather join all progressive, modern developments in the world which do effectively end all this neo-colonialism. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazonia needs to be forward-looking, into the future-looking. We should not look back too much.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right in that point that we need to look for the future progressive wing throughout Africa, because we are, the old way of doing things in Africa hasn't yielded any fruit, and so therefore a new progressive wing of Africa in miniature is right vital at this moment. Before we proceed, I wanted to watch this person. We're going to talk just very briefly, and I know he passed away here in the United States. That is the former Prime Minister in the neighboring country, La Republique du Cameroun. He just passed away here in the United States. It's happened that somebody that I know he has been a very strong wing in La Republique du Cameroun. But there is two things that I recognize him, what he did. Is that, let me first of all post him, let's watch,
Achidi Achu.
Yes.
The concept of separated, what they call Ambazonia, in my view, is not realistic. Okay. It is the view of the United States of America to recognize the integrity of the country of Cameroon.
Got it. Thank you very much. Oh, you're back.
All right, comrade. That's the former Prime Minister. He just passed away here in the United States. One thing for sure is the first person that I know what he did. One, he was the first person that appoint the Anglo-Saxon Board of Education. You remember when there was rioting demonstrations, he was the first person to appoint the GCE board. Yeah, more specifically, the GCE board. And another thing that he bypassed the regime was that he is the first person to appoint an Anglophone to the Director of Custom. Initially, he got even opposition right from La Republique presidency when he appointed an Anglophone, which I don't want to call names here, an Anglophone to the Director of Custom. That even the Secretary General at the presidency of La Republique opposed him, that he had no power to appoint Director of Custom. That post is reserved for the Francophones. And it was within that period that they witnessed a sharp progression of custom revenue when that Anglophone was appointed Director of Custom. That's to show you how corrupted the system of La Republique is. But when he was appointed Director of Custom revenue jumped astronomically. So, but however, I know he's gone, but that's why I bring him. Maybe if you have any comment to make, then we'll proceed.
Yes, it is interesting what you say. I don't know anything about him. I am not experienced in this, but I have heard that the present boss of the customs is still covering up a lot of thievery in the Douala harbor, where they, have astronomical fees, and his custom income never goes back for any reinvestment into the people. So it's all money which disappears into some dubious channels, which is horrific. It is really blocking any development of Cameroon. And also, of course, Ambazonians are suffering from it. But I would say we cannot hope anything from any member in the BIAC regime. The best thing is they are all stood against the wall and be executed like Jerry Rawlings did it, because they only do harm to the people. They are professional robbers, all of them, because they are too coward to kill the top of the corruption, which is Biya himself, and in the French in the back. You know, it's like when a fruit is full of fungi, you cannot eat it anymore. You need to throw it away.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's the case. That's the case with the Biya regime, and unfortunately, we cannot expect that much better is coming. You know, the French will always make sure that some weakling is in power who says yes and amen to everything that the French are dictating. So the only choice the Ambazonians have is to stand vehemently against this kind of corruption and neocolonialism and to restore independence and to get out of all this crap.
Thank you, comrade. I am going to show the declaration that was made by this brutal dictator. And after that brutal dictator's declaration, that was in Buea. Then we'll go to extra modernization that Ambazonia has increased. Okay, let's listen to him in Buea.
History has not forgotten that Buea was the headquarters of West Cameroon. History has not forgotten that Buea was the capital of Southern Cameroons. And history has not forgotten that Buea was once the capital of German Cameroon. That is why I say that Buea is a historic town. I am proud, very proud to be in Buea, proud to walk on the same soil like our heroes.
Yes.
Thank you, comrade.
Yeah, you hear Mr. Biya chooses his words very carefully, and he calls it a historic town of West Cameroon. And you know, it makes it look like as if that town always has been part of the Cameroon, and as if everything which was independent in the past is historic and outdated and is history, and we can forget about it. That's how he wants to make it sound. So, and he's wrong. Yeah, there was never a West Cameroon. There was only French Cameroon and British Southern Cameroons. And of course, you could say, well, if we make a very fair kind of federalism and decentralization, then the French-speaking and the English-speaking can live well together. And we know that under our dictator Ahijo, it looked like that for a while. But the French kind of centralism and neocolonialism destroyed this fairness. And it destroyed real federalism. It always played out its majority to the disfavor of the English speaking. And, you know, they say assimilation of the Anglophones. So why not ask that the Francophones have to assimilate to the Anglophones? You see this domination in the mindset. They do not even question their own position.
Exactly.
And that you know, tells you that dictator Biya is totally and completely in the pocket of France. And his son also. Yeah. And Switzerland maybe also. So, you know, you have to emancipate from all this. And tribalism is not helping you, yeah? You need to, you know, make a new start and to make it different from the start. And you need to say that, you know, we need 100% self-governance and no interference from your own day. You know? It's like the police cannot collaborate with mafia. Police will be of integrity, you know? You cannot make a foul compromise with gangsters. And that's why Ambazonia needs to be have a hardliner position.
Absolutely, and thank you for that analysis, comrade. You know, Ambazonia needs to change. I strongly believe that the Ambazonia has changed the dynamic. You know, 2016, I'm going to show you a video. You know, in 2016, which La Republique top military claimed they have gotten. But you will see the pain within the military of La Republique, and I am sure they now feel the pain, you know. And this demonstrates our ability of resolve, that we will no longer take that for compromise. Our people deserve their sovereignty. In fact, we had our government, we have an administrative policy, we have a change of leadership. And it was simple, and it was recognized. But La Republique has not demonstrated that. But when we ask, because we have better experience within West Africa as a whole, but yet they wanted to declare war on our people. Now, let's see the cops that they are being shipped back to La Republique du Cameroun. Watch this video, you know.
Okay.
That is La Republique military crying for mercy because they are being sent to Southern Cameroon territory. And this is a clear indication that La Republique needs to immediately, unconditionally, pull out its military from Southern Cameroon and allow the people of Southern Cameroon to be self-government. I want to bring you this, you know, maybe, I don't know if you heard about it, but anyway, you read about it. Metternich was a very smart person, and he knew that a disunity in Austria, if I'm mistakenly, a disunity, in other words, they appoint officials from different counties in Austria to a disunified will create their own ability to govern. And that is exactly what La Republique is doing. Appointed francophones over Southern Cameroon, the governors which are francophones, the division officers, the head of medical equipment, the head, all health officials are La Republique heading those departments to prevent us to even, just imagine in a court, an Anglo-Saxon way of court, and you have a judge, a francophone, presiding over your case in Southern Cameroon territory. Is that not a chaos? So, but I think a better suppression. Let La Republique go and our people go, and we have a good neighborliness. This is the key factor, and this is what everyone must embrace. A divided Cameroon for a better nation.
But you see, comrade, since you quote first Metternich, who was a key figure in the Wiener you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Yes, that took place of Vienna after big battles in which a coalition of the Germans and Russians, and I think several other nations, Swedish maybe, I don't remember, they defeated the French Napoleon, you know? So the mixing of the cards anew by first Metternich, yeah, Earl of Metternich, was only possible after France Afrique, so to speak, was defeated. You know? You need to defeat it. You need a sledgehammer. You know? And that's why you need to motivate all your richer Ambazonians, you know, to invest more into the defense. You know? And also the reconquering homeland is not going all counties at once. It's like first you support the best guerrilla forces who have the best control over their own county-owned LGA. And those Amba soldiers who are the best trained and best equipped and the best disciplined, you know, who have the best military leadership, secret leadership, you know, they gradually conquer more and more territory. You know, put your resources only into your best ones.
Absolutely, absolutely.
If you build up a giant bureaucratic government apparatus again, in which you have only characters who want to chop money, it's not going to work.
Absolutely.
It needs sacrifices. It needs people who are willing to lose an arm and a leg. You know, only that leads to liberation. And that earns you respect. That gives you respect, international respect. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's the hard way.
All right. Thank you, Comrade. That was Comrade Christoph speaking with me live here for this. Since it was a very impromptu discussion, and I think we will have more things to talk about in the future, but I don't want to take the rest of your time because this is during the week, working hours. You may have other activities. So anyway, I want to thank you so much for taking this, my impromptu invitation for this broadcast. And I really appreciate you, my regard to your lovely family. And so I want you to give your own conclusion, then we call it off.
Yeah, thank you very much, Comrade. I admire your persistent engagement, and it's always wonderful to work for you, to do something for you, and to see, you know, how you, squeeze out every free minute to help your homeland. And I hope that the other Ambazonians in America, especially, not only in America, I mean all over the world, the diasporans, yeah, who made it somehow, who have a little income, you know, to motivate all the hesitant Ambazonians who are still waiting and seeing, you know, to motivate them that this is a one-in-a-lifetime chance to be on the right side, yeah, and to help ending all this crap in the homeland, yeah, and to liberate, yeah, to make your people at home stand on their own feet. And it needs sacrifices. I mean, look to the liberation wars in the past, they had many victims. Yeah, there were many fallen soldiers, but you know, it was worth it. And I would say that, you know, we should take the present quarrels and infighting and all the problems and so also as a chance. Yeah, the learning curve is steep. You know, out of chaos comes a new order. So after the sickness comes health. So all in all, I'm optimistic despite all odds. If you bet on the good characters and the disciplined characters and the financial funds to the best Ambazonians, then victory is programmed. Okay.
All right, thank you so much. That was Christoph, and I really appreciate you joining me in this live broadcast. So first of all, I want to appreciate his point that he raised, that it is a collective effort for all citizens of the Southern Cameroon, both at home and in the diaspora, to take this moment that this is a vital issue, that we must come together for the common good of freedom of the people of Southern Cameroon. We know how wars has been fought in elsewhere, but now, like you might think about the Luanda crisis, but you feel that it was the right thing they did, and now the people feel free. But I think it is an obligation that the people of Southern Cameroon must stand together firmly, shoulder to shoulder, working in collaborations, and that we can one day, not us, but others, future generations, remember that we did something that is amazing for the people of Southern Cameroon. The people of Southern Cameroon was never a conquered territory or a colonial territory of La Republique du Cameroun. But however, they are taking advantage with the French neocolonialism that have seen raw material in Africa and decided to use its colonial influence. Remember that when we talk about the United Nations, when Southern Cameroon territory was being voted at the 1961 at the United Nations, remember, France gathered all the French colonial territory to vote against the sovereignty of the people of Southern Cameroon. Yet, the people, other nations, choose no. We cannot defranchise the people of Southern Cameroon. However, they choose to vote for the sovereignty. 64 nations, if I'm not mistakenly, vote to recognize the sovereignty of Southern Cameroon. And over time, the Republic has decided to uproot that memorable sovereign nation. So it is our time in this critical moment that we must fight and to retain the sovereignty of the people of Southern Cameroon. So in this, I end the conclusion. And thank you, Mr. Christ. It was nice speaking with you in this broadcast.
Thank you also.
History has not forgotten that Buea was the headquarters of West Cameroon. History has not forgotten